Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to acknowledge and express my appreciation for the comments of the senator from West Virginia, her father's service, and the service of so many veterans, as well as the other members of our colleagues here in the Senate who are here today saying thank you as we enter this time of Thanksgiving for our veterans and all those who serve today. We appreciate them so much. And of course, that's what this colloquy is all about, is for us to come down today and to say thank you to our veterans. Thank you to those who serve. I know the presiding officer of your state has a number of military bases and a large contingent of service members, and they are truly fantastic. They are just amazing. We have two large Air Force bases in my state, and of course our Guard and others that serve in our military, and I'm impressed every day when I see what they do and how they serve, and we are so deeply appreciative. So that's what today is all about. It's thanking our veterans and making the point, I think, that we need to be there for our veterans and our service members every day, not just on Veterans Day, right? But that we need to be out there every day saying thank you for all that they do for us and to their families, and to always keep in our hearts and our prayers all of those who are deployed around the world today, keeping us safe. In my state of North Dakota, we have a rich tradition of service, and I'm so proud of all of our North Dakotans who have served in the military and serve today. And since I was governor of North Dakota from 2000 through 2010, and even since I've been here in the Senate since then, I don't think I've ever missed participating at home on Veterans Day in ceremonies for our service members. And so really, because we were in session last week, this is the first time in, I think, more than 20 years that I wasn't able to attend services at home for our veterans on Veterans Day. So what I did is I went over to Arlington Cemetery and spent some time there. And I also went to the U.S. Marine Corps Memorial, and I particularly wanted to go over to the Marine Corps Memorial because my father was a Marine. And of course, for his life, he died when he was 87 years old, but throughout his life, you could never say he was a Marine, because once a Marine, always a Marine. So even when he was in his 80s, he still is a Marine, and so, if you said was a Marine, then he'd get mad at you. But now that he's passed, I can say he was a Marine. But he was awfully proud of it, of his service. And as I looked at that Marine Corps memorial, it made me think of him. And it just is, again, a recognition for all of us of how much we owe our veterans. And so it's about thanking them and acknowledging them, but it's also very important that we show our gratitude in other ways, right? By making sure that our armed service forces members, as well as all of our veterans, receive the care, the benefits, the recognition, the things that our nation has promised them for their service. And we need to follow through on those things. And in this Congress, we've worked to do that, and we need to continue to work to do that. And some of the things that we've been able to do is to work to strengthen the VA's ability to provide veterans with the continuum of care, so that not only do they have access to medical care that they need, but they also have that continuum of care as they get older. We talk about our World War II generation, America's greatest generation, as laid out in Tom Brokaw's book, and that famous acknowledgement of all that they did in World War II. So many of them, of course, we're losing now, and it highlights the need to make sure that we have the continuum of care there for them, both care in terms of nursing home care, but also home-based care as well. And we need to make sure that those options are available to them. We also need to recognize that members of our military suffer injuries, both seen and unseen. There's the wounds that you can see, but then there's also the wounds, the battles, the scars of war that you can't see. And in terms of what the VA does for our veterans, we need to make sure that the mental health care and the suicide prevention programs are in place there as well. Last month, the Commander John Scott Hannon Veterans Mental Health Care Improvement Act was signed into law, and I was pleased to be able to co-sponsor that legislation. And that legislation will help advance a more comprehensive approach to address the tragedy of veteran suicide. It also expands access to alternative treatment options like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT, for veterans who've not been able to benefit or recover using traditional therapies for post-traumatic stress. Last year, working with others, I was able to secure for the Fargo VA designation as the 5th location in the nation for an HBOT pilot program. And we recently extended that program for a longer period of time and added additional service area in Jamestown, North Dakota as well. And I have to say, our healthcare facility, our VA, Veterans Healthcare Facility in Fargo, is second to none. They do a tremendous job, and I talk to veterans that go there, not only from North Dakota, but from much of Minnesota, and they really appreciate it. I mean, the care there is high level. You know, sometimes we hear these stories and have great concern about veterans care facilities where they're not doing a good job, and we need to address that. But I can say that our Fargo, North Dakota VA healthcare facility is tops, and the veterans I talk to on a regular basis tell me that, and so we're very appreciative of all the healthcare providers that work there and do that very good job for our wonderful veterans. So we need to continue to provide that type of care as well. Also, I joined with Senator Sinema and Senator Sullivan in introducing the Reduce Unemployment for Veterans of All Ages Act, which enables veterans, regardless of when they serve, to access VA's vocational rehabilitation and employment benefits. And that just makes sense, particularly, you know, during this pandemic. We're seeing the challenges with unemployment for everybody, and making sure that our great veterans have access to work and employment when they come back or leave the service is always a priority. It is obviously very much a priority as we work our way through this pandemic. And so passing this legislation would help provide veterans with greater self-sufficiency, better financial security, and of course a higher quality of life. Also, as chairman of the Senate Committee on Indian Affairs, I've worked with our committee to ensure that our nation fulfills its promise to our Native American veterans. And Native Americans serve in our military in a higher percentage than any other ethnic group, which is truly remarkable and a tremendous thing. So as I say, for all of our veterans, we have to be there, but we certainly have to make sure then that we are providing help and support for our Native American veterans who have served as well. Clearly, Native American veterans face some unique challenges related to homelessness and housing, and that's a function of being on the reservation. They have some unique challenges, and we have to work to address those challenges. So I've worked with Senator Udall, the Vice Chairman on the Indian Affairs Committee, along with Senator Tester, who I think is ranking on the Veterans Affairs Committee, and we introduced the Tribal Hud Bash Act, which would provide rental housing assistance as well as housing eligible for Native American veterans who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. Our legislation has passed the Senate, and we are certainly hoping that it receives action in the House very soon. As we continue to support our service members, I also am a member of the Senate Defense Appropriations Committee, and we need to continue to work to invest in our military and ensure that our service members have the tools they need to complete their missions. In North Dakota, we have many active duty service members at our Air Force bases, as well as others in the state, and they perform incredibly important missions and we need to make sure that we're supporting them and our service members across the country and deployed around the globe, and that they have what they need to do their missions. And that applies equally for our members of the National Guard and the reserves. And as a former governor, and I know the presiding officer was former governor himself, the amount that we rely on the National Guard is unbelievable. And their level of service is unbelievable, whether it's fire or flood or hurricane or tornadoes or any kind of natural disaster here at home, or whether it's deploying to the global war on terror in Afghanistan, Iraq, or anywhere else around the world. Our National Guard is there. They do an incredible, incredible job. And so we need to make sure we're supporting our Guard and Reserves just as we support our active duty forces. Matter of fact, right now one of our Guard units is actually deployed for a 9-month assignment defending the nation's capital. They're here defending Washington, D.C. And it's just, again, talk to anybody who's a governor or a former governor, and they'll tell you just how incredible the National Guard is. And those deployments aren't easy. Whether they're deployed overseas, whether they're deployed somewhere in the United States, whether they're down on the border, whatever it may be, they serve, and we can't forget that their families serve too. When they're gone, the families have to pick up the slack at home, and they do. And that's one reason each year since coming to the Senate, I've introduced and passed a Senate resolution proclaiming a National Day of the Deployed to recognize and thank our deployed service members and their family members, active duty, Guard, and Reserves. With Thanksgiving approaching, we're reminded of the many freedoms and blessings that we enjoy as a nation, all of which have been secured by the men and the women who have served and do serve in our armed forces. And today and every day, not just on Veterans Day, but today and every day, we say thank you and God bless you.